Hello book lovers, and welcome back or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today we are here to do my March TBR. Alright guys, I'm gonna be totally honest. I fought for my life for this TBR. In fact, my throat is already sore at the beginning of this video because I spent the last hour muttering to myself as I try to figure out which books to put on this TBR. But I'm very happy with those results and I'm very excited to share them with you. If you are new to my channel, on odd numbered months, I do play my TBR game, which is called Leseren Agedishnisht and is essentially Parcheesi. If you want to go ahead and watch previous videos as well as the rules video, I will go ahead and link the playlist up above. I go ahead and play this game for myself, but at the end we also have a viewer prompt, so go ahead and make sure you stick around for that, because if you complete the viewer prompt by the end of the month, you will be placed into the giveaway jar. And in either, is it September? Around September, I believe, is when I will be drawing a few names from there to do a book giveaway. Once we're done with the TBR game, we will go ahead and pull the second book from our challenge cup as well. And I will have that video linked up above if you're not familiar what this little guy means. Even though I don't give myself any punishment for not completing the previous TBR from the game, I did want to go ahead and just kind of let you know what I pulled last time and what I was able to accomplish, just to kind of wrap that up and kind of give you an idea of how I'm actually doing with my TBR. So these are the books that I pulled in January. If it has a green check mark, that means that I did complete it. If it doesn't have anything, I didn't touch that book. And if it has the red little X, it means I DNF'd it. I did go ahead and include the prompts as well as put them in the color that is associated with the genre. Red is romance, green is fantasy, black is horror, thriller, mystery, purple is historical, blue is sci-fi, and yellow is contemporary literary fiction. All right, I think we went ahead and covered all of our bases. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go to Natalie over by the game board for roll number 1. All right, everyone, here we are at the game board as it was at the end of January, which was a little bit of a odd round. So let's see if we can chill out a little bit. I'm not really hoping for any specific genre over the others. I'm kind of in the mood for a little bit of everything. So hopefully our board gives us a good variety this month. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into roll number 1 out of 10. We're starting off with a sci-fi. And we're starting off with a 5. So with a 5, we can either move this one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So this one we actually can't move. So we're going to go ahead and take someone out. So that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wow. We're starting by knocking out a romance, which instantly brings us to 11 rules. And that's rude because romance, literally everyone is home now. But so this one I think was actually a viewer prompt at some point, and that is to choose a book that is similar to my last 5-star read. All right, so I told the board, let's chill out a little, and the board said, do not tell me what to do. So we did get our first roll, which was a sci-fi, and the prompt was similar to my last 5-star read, though we did also knock someone out, so we got a +1 roll. Now the last book I gave 5 stars is this book right here called If You Love Something, and the book that I think is kind of similar to this while also being sci-fi while this is contemporary is going to be Under the Lupin Moon by A. Knightley, and I believe this is a adult paranormal romance. Based off of the synopsis, it seems that we have two people who are reconnecting after a long time. In this book, we have kind of people who thought they were divorced but found out years later that they actually weren't, and kind of reconnect because of that. So it has that vibe. We also have a character who apparently really likes to cook. One of the characters in here is a professional chef, and the other one also works for a restaurant. And on top of that, one of the characters is dealing with some grief. One of the characters, actually both of the characters, are losing someone they care very deeply to cancer. So those are kind of the similar elements that I found. Other than it being a paranormal kind of werewolf romance, I don't know too much about it. It is a book that I have on my Kindle, and I'm trying to actually prioritize some of the books that I have on my Kindle. It is obviously a male-male romance, and that's kind of enough for me. So hopefully I have a wonderful time with it, and it's another 5-star, just like this one. All right, moving into roll number 2. Whoa. Well, you know what? We'll just stick with it because romance deserves it. But that is roll 2 out of 11. And way over here, a 1, a measly 1. So that's going to go ahead and put us right here. And that prompt, oh my gosh, we're being kind of rude to romance. One of the 10 lowest rated on Goodreads, or I should say my specific Goodreads TBR. Roll number 2 got us a romance, and we did get 10 lowest on Goodreads. This prompt used to be one of my punishment prompts back in the day, and I went ahead and put the 10 books here that were the lowest on my romance shelves, obviously not including books that I have already read, and I decided to go with Infinity Alchemist by Case and Calendar. I really love Case and Calendar's books. I have read 3 of them and enjoyed all of them. So the fact that this has a lower average rating doesn't really bother me that much because I know I enjoy their writing. And this seems to be kind of a fantasy sci-fi kind of duology, I believe. And I think it might be young adult. And we are following a man who has alchemical powers, which I think is technically illegal because I think only certain people are able to use those powers, and he gets denied entry into the school where he would learn to use them, and so he ends up getting a job on the grounds so that he can secretly study his powers, and he ends up getting caught by this girl who is attending the school, and instead of turning him in, she asks for his help to find some sort of ancient text of sorts. It says that this has trans representation as well as eventually some sort of polyrep within it, so that definitely does intrigue me. It's just a duology, and it's also by an author I love, so I'm hoping that this is a good time for me, and I will be getting this from my library. Moving on to roll number 3 out of 11. We get a fantasy. At least we're doing well with the variety so far. A 2. So we're gonna go ahead and move this guy right here, and that is gonna go ahead and give us a random number generator. Okay, wait, which one does this one do? I want to say that I'm probably gonna do the go into my Goodreads fantasy shelf and then randomly generate a number. I think that's what this one is supposed to mean. Roll number 3 got us a fantasy, and we are to do a random number generator. I'm gonna go ahead and share the video where I do that. I end up doing things a little bit differently than I just said I would for convenience sake. All right, guys, so I am here with the random number generator. As you can see, it says 432 because I was trying to use my Goodreads fantasy page, but I tried it 4 different times, and 3 times it chose books that I've already read, and once it chose a KU book, and I don't have KU right now. So I decided to just switch it up because I was getting annoyed with counting through all of those books since they're not numbered. And I went ahead and just chose 10 fantasy books that are on my TBR. And we're just going to go ahead and change this to 10. We're going to go ahead and start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to go ahead and do it. See what we land on. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. 3. So that would be Midnight Girls. So this is going to be our fantasy pick. All right, as you saw, I went ahead and selected The Midnight Girls by Alicia Jasinska. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. I am so excited because I have had this book on my TBR for a long time and have heard really good things about it. This is supposed to be, I believe, a young adult, but a true enemies to lovers sapphic fantasy. In this book, we have 2 young women who are seeking to marry a prince, and they are both vying for his attention, and they are competing for it. Or are they trying to kill him? Are they trying to kill him? Yeah, so it says Marinka plans to bring the prince's heart back to her patron in order to prove herself, while Zozia is determined to take his heart and its power for himself. So seems both want to marry him but also kill him. However, it seems that the kingdom he rules over really likes him, and when they find out that these 2 women are trying to kill him, they rebel against that a little bit. And so both of them are finding themselves in a little bit more danger than expected, and also they are finding themselves drawn closer and closer. So I have heard wonderful things about this, and hopefully I love it as well. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like she's not being really nice to me right now. But we're gonna go ahead and go into roll number 4 out of 11. Another sci-fi. A 5. So we can either take someone, well, we can't take someone out because this one's blocking it. So we do have to move this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, thank goodness. That was close. And we have an aardvark book. So I'll check my aardvark books, and if I don't have one that's sci-fi, I'll go ahead and check their catalog to pick one of the sci-fi books that they have offered. All right, roll number 4 got us another sci-fi, and this was to be an aardvark book. This is a book subscription box similar to Book of the Month. I personally prefer it because I think that, 1, I think the quality of their books are a little bit better, and 2, I feel like their options are a little bit more diverse. Not sponsored, but I do get books from them every once in a while. I'm the kind of person who uses my skips quite often, but I did have one sci-fi on my shelf from them, and that is The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace. This book, I believe, deals with time travel. We have this woman who is waking up and doesn't have much of a memory of what came before. However, I think she's being taken to like a psychiatric facility or something, and she ends up meeting a man there who I think she might have like a strong connection to, or he's like her husband or something, and I think she's on some sort of mission of sorts. Yeah, I'm going into this relatively blind so that I get all the shock value and all the twists at full effect. So I am very excited to check this one out. Moving on to roll number 5 out of 11. A historical. And we got a 6. So we can go ahead and move this guy home, which I think we're gonna go ahead and do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what that means is that we get a mood read within the historical genre. Roll number 5 ended up getting us a historical, and we did get someone home. So that is a mood read, and I chose a historically based fantasy story, and that is going to be The Husky and His White Cat Jijun by Ru Bao Buchirao. I always apologize if I mispronounce these authors' names. This is a Donmi novel. I have been wanting to start another Donmi for a while since I finished the entirety of the Heaven's Official Blessing, but these series are relatively long, and the way that they're written, it's definitely not the kind of series where you want to put a lot of time in between volumes, because these were originally written as online stories, and so essentially they just take a chunk of chapters and throw them into a book. So the books tend not to have like a natural ending, and so if you wait too long, you're kind of jumping into the middle of a plot and you're like, what's going on? So I do believe that this series is pretty much completed or almost completed when it comes to being translated, because these are originally written in Mandarin, and I have heard really good things about this one. Compared to Heaven's Official Blessing, this one is apparently a little bit spicier, because Heaven's Official Blessing isn't on the spicy side, and it does have like some fade to black scenes when it comes to some of the short stories at the end of the series, but this one apparently does have some spiciness in it, so I am intrigued to see how that is done. This one follows a man who ended up rising to power in his life, and then he dies, and he is actually given the opportunity to be reborn as himself and relive his life. And he was actually a pretty brutal, powerful man, and you would think that he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back and do things better, but he's kind of giving the vibes of like, I already know who fucks me over, and I'm gonna take him out extra early this time, please and thank you. And one of the people he had beef with was his teacher, which I don't think this is like a student-teacher age gap situation. This isn't like high school student with high school teacher kind of scenario, but he is like someone who was training him, and he ends up falling for him this time. I don't know, sounds messy, and I am here for it. Roll number 6 out of 11. Whoops, we're rolling the wrong dice. Let's start with the right one. All right, a horror thriller mystery and a 1. Let's see. Oh, okay, and I do have to move this one, which does mean I have to knock out Mr. Contemporary here, and we'll have to go up to 12. And this is a horror thriller mystery written by a trans author or has trans characters in it. Roll number 6, we got ourselves another additional roll, but we also got ourselves a horror thriller mystery, and this one is to be written by a trans author or have trans characters featured in it. And I am starting another long series. I don't know why I decided to put 2 starts of a long series on this TBR, but I did. And that is going to be season 2 of Criminal Intentions by Cole McCade. This first volume here is called The Golden Ratio. Cole McCade is a trans author, and there is a prominent side character who is non-binary, and part of me feels, just based off of the way season 1 ended, that they're going to be a larger part of the story, so it has both a trans author and trans characters within it. And this is a story following primarily Malcolm and Sanjay, who are detectives of the Baltimore Police Department, and each volume follows them as they are establishing their relationship, their personal romantic relationship, as well as solving different crimes, and there is kind of an overarching plot as well. So I have put off starting season 2 way too long. Hopefully I'm not too lost when I go into it, but I do know that I love this author's writing and I love these characters, so I am excited to finally be returning to this world. All right, we are on to roll number 7 out of 12 now. And another romance. Come on, romance. You can get something good. We got a 3, so we're going to go ahead and move this guy. 1, 2, 3. If I can pick it up. An average good read rating over 4 stars. And the book should have at least 200 ratings. So that's good. We should have a highly rated romance. All right, roll number 7 got us another romance, and this time we got a pleasant prompt, which was to choose a book that had an average rating of over 4 stars over on Goodreads. Very different than the lowest rated books I had to choose from previously, and I'm very happy to say that I have selected Devil's Mark by Larka Taylor. Her book Patience made it into my top books of the year for 2025, and I have been eager to check out some more of her work. Patience was the first book in a series, a companion series to what this book is part of. So essentially I'm kind of going back in time and starting from the literal beginning with this book. In this book, we have the son of Lucifer, one of his few sons, and he, I believe, is living in the human world and owns a bookstore, and he's kind of fine, kind of doing his own thing. However, his father is calling him back. He doesn't want to listen to his dad. He doesn't like his dad. And also, dead bodies keep showing up in his bookstore, which is a little problematic. On top of that, he ends up meeting a young man named Oscar. And despite the fact that he has no intention of losing his heart, especially to a human, he can't help but be drawn to Oscar, especially since Oscar is leaving a abusive relationship and just needs a safe place to be. And this guy is here to offer the protection. So I am really excited to go ahead and get into this kind of paranormal fantasy romance. It's gonna be a good time. Moving on to a roll number 8 out of 12. A contemporary. A 6. So we can move someone out, and in fact we would have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my god. Oh my god. I just want to remind everyone that I cut it off at 15. If we get to 15 rolls, we're cutting it off. That's part of the rules. Okay. So this is a sci-fi that is translated. All right. This is a contemporary that is translated. I got confused because I knocked a sci-fi out. So a contemporary that is translated. Roll number 8. And we're adding another roll. Why not? And we ended up getting the genre of contemporary with the prompt of translated. Now, I don't have too many translated contemporary books on my shelf, but I did have at least one, and that is going to be Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Now, I have never read a Frederick Bachman book before, despite the fact that he is a well-beloved author. The only experience I have with him is that I watched Tom Hanks' version of A Man Named Ove. So I have heard really good things about this book, mostly in that it is very difficult to read. It's very heartbreaking. You're probably gonna cry, and I am very scared to check it out. Now, I do believe this is part of a trilogy. I have heard some people say that if you're, okay with the ending, then you don't have to read the rest of the series. It's just kind of going through some more of the town's drama, I guess, but we will see how I feel by the end of this. This is following a very small town that financially, it seems, relies primarily on their high school hockey team. So they are not doing well financially, and I think that our team is garnering outside attention, which is obviously bringing in people and increasing the local economy. However, something very tragic happens that kind of threatens that and splits the town on how they should respond to it. So I am scared to pick this up. I'm going to be totally honest, but I have a feeling that it is going to be a very highly rated book for me. I'm just getting those vibes. All right. Roll number 9 out of 13. All right, another horror thriller mystery. And we got a 1. So we're going to move this guy. All right, and this is a horror thriller mystery that is written by a Black author. Right, roll number 9 got us another horror thriller mystery, and this one was to be written by a Black author. And luckily, this book showed up just a few days ago, and that is going to be House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I ended up reading The Year of the Witching by her in January and gave it 5 stars. It ended up being my best book of the month, so I'm eager to check out some more of her work. This book, I believe, is a historical vampire story. We have a young woman who needs some money and needs some money quickly, and she ends up becoming a blood maid, is what they call it, of some very wealthy people. And she ends up getting really close to this woman who is essentially like the figurehead of this court that drinks blood. However, as she is spending more time in this court, she is starting to discover some very dark secrets, and someone who doesn't want her to know those starts hunting her. So I am very intrigued. I know I love this author's writing. I know that I love the way that she depicts strong young women, and I am very eager to get to this. Roll number 10 out of 13. Another contemporary. A 2, which we're gonna use this one. We're moving him 2 spaces and we're taking the mood read. We're not knocking out this person. No, thank you. Roll number 10 gave us another contemporary, and I did give myself a mood read because boy, do I need them. And I've decided to put one of my books from my spring TBR on there. Criminal Intentions was another book from my spring TBR. I always try to get at least 2 of them on my monthly TBR, and this one is called Futbolista by Johnny Garza Villa. This is an author who has received 5 stars from me in the past when I read Onder and Santi were here, and this is their new release, and I am very excited to read it. I have definitely been drawn to the story. It is set in college, and we have a young soccer star who is doing really well at soccer. He is set to go pro. However, when it comes to his academics, he's struggling a little bit, and so he ends up getting the help of a tutor. And this young man who is tutoring him, they actually shared a little bit of a kiss, despite that our main character is straight. But the more time they spend together, the more that seems not to be quite 100% true. I have a feeling that I am just going to really enjoy this book, really enjoy the characters, and I already know that I enjoy the author's writing, so very eager to be getting to this. All right, on to 11 out of 13. Another horror thriller mystery. A 6, so we can move someone out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. An emoji pick. So I'm going to go ahead and randomly generate an emoji and pick a book that, I don't know, gives the vibes or something. All right, roll number 11 ended up getting us a horror thriller mystery again, and this was to be an emoji pick. So let me go ahead and let you see what I picked for that. A shrimp. A shrimp. Yet, despite the fact that this seems like a completely random emoji, boy, did I know exactly what I was gonna pick as soon as I saw it. And that is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. Now, this is because in this book, her mom is constantly telling her that eating the eyes of the fish is good luck. And yes, I'm doing a seafood to seafood comparison here. That is why I went ahead and selected this book. I've been wanting to read this book for quite a while. I'm already hearing relatively good things about this author's new release, and I still haven't read this one. So I have gone ahead and put it on my TBR. This is a horror story about a woman whose father has left and her mother is not handling it very well. However, I believe she starts dating this trash white man who is definitely racist and like fetishizing the Asian race, and she ends up having like these really vivid dreams about eating his eyes. So I'm interested to see where that goes. It's not too long, but I have heard primarily good things about it, so I am eager to hopefully get to it this month. We've made it to roll number 12 out of 13. Another contemporary. A 1. Yippee! All right. Ooh, an audiobook. I have not been listening to a lot of audiobooks, so we'll see if I find one. Roll number 12 ended up getting us another contemporary, and this was to be an audiobook. Now, I meant it when I said that I have not been reading a lot of audiobooks recently. In fact, I am in the process of reading my first audiobook of the year, and we are in the second half of February at this point. However, I went ahead and decided to choose a continuation of a series, which is Didn't See That Coming by Jessie Q. Santanto. Now, this is the companion novel to, well, That Was Unexpected, I believe is the title, and these are young adult contemporary novels. I really do like Jessie Q. Santanto as an author, and I know that I'm probably not going to read these books physically, so getting it on as an audiobook will be a good idea for me. In this book, I believe we are following a young teenager. She is a gamer, and she actually plays as a boy to avoid the harassment that women unfortunately get when it comes to playing video games. And she has this friend online who doesn't know her secret, and usually she's like, that's totally fine, you know, what's the harm? However, she ends up switching schools and meets him there, and she kind of starts to develop feelings for him, you know, more than as a friend. And she's a little worried that if she reveals the fact that she's been lying to him for so long, it's going to cause some issues in their relationship. So I quite enjoyed the first one, so I am hoping I enjoy this one as well. Roll number 13 out of 13, fingers crossed. Our final roll of the game. We get another sci-fi, and we get a 1. Okay, let's see. Well, I think either way it's going to be a mood read, because I can either move him to the end or move him into the board. Since this is the starting spot, they kind of move like that. I'm going to bring this guy home, you know, just so he's safe, so I don't have to stress about him. So we end on a sci-fi mood read. Woo, guys, that was a lot of rolls, and we got ourselves another sci-fi, and I took that mood read gladly. And I'm gonna be nice to myself again by giving myself a manga, and that is The Other World's Books Depend on the Bean Counter by Kazuki Iridori. Now, this is volume 1. I've already read volume 1. I'm technically gonna be reading volume 2, but I'm just holding this up as a placeholder since they have the same title. And this is one of those stories where someone gets dragged into another world. Is that called isekai? That's like the word that's like coming into my brain right now. And we have this man who sees this woman getting dragged through a portal. He's like, oh my gosh. He tries to grab her, and he ends up getting pulled in with her. Now, she gets pulled in there because she is supposed to have the power to stop this almost like poisonous miasma from coming out of the woods that obviously would kill the livestock, the plants, as well as eventually the people who live there. He, on the other hand, isn't supposed to be there. Dude's just an accountant. They're like, what are you doing here? And he was like, what do you mean? Why do you kidnap her? And they're like, listen, we can't really send you back. There's not a way to do that, but you know, we'll just give you a stipend and you can just live here. But he's a workaholic. So he's like, no, give me a job in your accounting department. And they're like, okay. So they go ahead and give him a job in the accounting department, and there he starts to figure out that some of the ways that funds are being handled isn't the best. He also finds out that his body can't really handle the magic of this world very well because he's not supposed to be there, and he needs this guard's help to kind of get more accustomed to the magic. And the way to do that, for some reason, is to get really close physically. So this is a BL manga, and I really enjoyed the first one, so I am excited to go ahead and jump into volume 2. All right, guys, we are here to do the viewer prompt. There is supposed to be only one viewer prompt, but as January proved, that can definitely change. So let's go ahead and see what the board gives you. Let's see. You're getting a romance and a 6. So you can take somebody out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. Do we want to take someone out? Let's go ahead and take someone out just because romance was beat on a little bit this time. Let's give her some extra players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So your prompt is gonna be a book with a ugly cover. So a romance book that has an ugly cover. All right, guys, and that was the viewer prompt. As you saw, you guys got a romance as the genre, and the prompt was to have an ugly cover, just like my writing with the word ugly is ugly. Why does that look so weird? Anyway, if you want to have your name put into the giveaway jar, you will want to go ahead and comment down below by the end of March that you have finished a book that is primarily romance and has a ugly cover in your opinion. Obviously, it is up to you what you decide is an ugly cover, and then I will eventually go ahead and pull out some names from here and do a giveaway. One more thing before we wrap up this video, we do need to go ahead and pick a challenge book. Now, in January, I went ahead and picked the first one, which was Ghost Bird by Lisa Fuller, which was a book within the category of written by an Indigenous author. As you can see, I have started it. I read about 50 pages. I am in the process of deciding if I want to DNF this book. Unfortunately, so far it's not going very well for me. I read these first 50 pages at the beginning of February and have put it down for a couple of weeks, and will hopefully sometime this weekend pick it up and read another chapter or two to see if it is for me. I'm struggling a little bit with this sounds bad, but the writing, the plot, the characters, every aspect of this book. But I gave it some time, stepped away from it, so we'll come back to it and see if we will continue with it. But now to choose the second one, I'm really nervous, especially since this month's TBR is so big. I'm so glad that I'm only doing these every other month because it's a little bit much. Okay, let's do this one. Let's do this guy right here. So let's take a look. We'll see if, okay, this seems to be the right way. Oh, what does that say? Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft, an intimidating series. Okay, really, we're starting a lot of series this month. All right, so Senlin Ascends is an intimidating series, essentially meaning that this is a series I've been wanting to start, but I've been, well, intimidated by it. This is just a trilogy, but it is a higher sci-fi fantasy, which I actually don't read that much of. I would honestly say I'm a bit of an amateur when it comes to high fantasy and sci-fi, but this story does really intrigue me. We have a man who is going to the Tower of Babylon, I believe it is, with his new wife, and they end up getting separated and he cannot find her, and so he needs to head into the tower to try and find her. Now, this tower isn't just any tower, it is huge. When you walk inside of it, I think things are larger. The space is larger than it should be. Every single layer of this tower is like a whole world of its own, and I find that to be a very intriguing concept. Did I pick this up because I really like season 1 of Sword Art Online? Maybe I did, but I was really excited when you guys selected this to put in my challenge cup, so fingers crossed I can go ahead and get to it this month, but probably not. Probably not. But I will be getting this from my library and I am eager to check it out. Alright guys, those are all the books that I have to choose from in the month of March. I'm not even going to say all the books that I'm going to read because I'm not reading all of these books. There's not a chance in hell that that is happening. I would be happy if I got to about half of these books, if I'm being honest. But that being said, I would love to know what you're planning on reading for the viewer prompt, if you're going to go ahead and take part in that. Otherwise, any other books you're super excited to read in the month of March, let me know. Or of course, if you've read any of the books that I selected today, let me know your thoughts. As always, guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!